The man known as the Liver King was once arrested for allegedly threatening podcast host Joe Rogan. Recently, a viral video on social media showed the Liver King being subdued and detained by police, sparking widespread public attention.
After an insane couple of weeks, Liver King has found himself under arrest. Liver King is a bullshit artist.
We're back once again with the latest chapter in the wild saga of Liver King and his over-the-top antics. If you caught the last video, you'll definitely remember Liver King.
Intestines are shattered. I do enemas every day to take a shit. I have to lay down on the ground with the fetal position with my legs to the left to actually go to the bathroom.
The shredded influencer known for devouring raw liver and boldly declaring, "I don't use steroids." The big question was always, do you take steroids? And his answer? A firm no. Until he came clean with a jaw-dropping, yes, I've done steroids. Fast forward to June 2025. He made headlines again after being arrested for threatening Joe Rogan, sending the internet into total chaos. Think that was the end of the saga? Not even close. Following that epic downfall and the shocking arrest in Austin, Liver King lost everything: his reputation, his credibility, and the trust of his fans. But in true Liver King fashion, he didn't disappear quietly. Instead, he's forcing his way back into the spotlight, louder, weirder, and more chaotic than ever. In early July, he got arrested again. Only this time, the entire thing was a stunt he planned himself. And how do I know all this? Well, that's exactly what we're unpacking in today's video. Deep into the latest twists in the Liver King saga, including that bizarre, staged arrest. There's a lot to break down, so let's get right into it. But before we explore Liver's courageous attempt at a comeback, into the everything truly unwrapped, the infamous Joe threat. All of this is happening to you. I've challenged you man to man. That unhinged call-out was the match that lit Brian Johnson's downward spiral. He was a man who seemingly had it all: massive fame, wild fortune, and a die-hard fan base. But the weight of internet stardom and his obsession with public approval dragged him into a tailspin of his own making. At the height of his fame, Brian Johnson, better known as Liver King, was more than just an influencer. He was a social media juggernaut, with millions of followers hanging on his every word, $100 million supplement empire, and his relentless 100% natural claims. He didn't need drama to dominate. He was the face of a primal revolution: raw liver, brutal workouts, living by instinct. And for a generation of young men tired of processed shakes and sterile gym routines, Liver King's message felt like gospel. They wanted to believe strength came from ancestral discipline, not syringes and shortcuts. And with his shredded physique and powerful origin story, Brian sold that dream flawlessly. But for Johnson, the fame he had wasn't enough. He craved more attention, more respect, more validation, especially from one man, Joe Rogan, the alpha of alphas, a podcast titan whose voice helped shape modern masculinity. In Brian's mind, a single invitation to Rogan's show would crown him not just viral, but legendary. So he went all in. He networked with Rogan's inner circle, jumped on podcasts hosted by Rogan's friends, cranked out viral clips, built a testosterone-fueled fan base that lived and breathed his primal gospel. But Rogan? Silent. No invite, no acknowledgement. Until, finally, Rogan spoke. Not to praise, but to poke holes in the myth. How does a 45-year-old get that jacked just eating liver and taking ice baths? There's no way you look like that naturally in your 40s. That jack? I mean, it's absurd. Now that we know he's full of current, we're talking about the Liver King. That single clip cracked the illusion wide open. Skeptics swarmed, fitness forums exploded, and medical professionals jumped in with warnings. Eating raw meat like that can cause serious infections. You're risking parasites with every bite you take. The diet he's pushing? It's dangerous. I wouldn't suggest it to anyone. The primal fantasy was bleeding out, and the man behind it was about to be held accountable. As the backlash surged, Brian Johnson refused to retreat, not even slightly. On Mark Bell's podcast, he brushed off the accusations, laughing like someone who thought he was above it all. He kept posting, mocking critics, grinning through the heat, daring the internet to call his bluff. But what he thought was confidence came across to the world as outright arrogance. And that arrogance, it sparked the flame. The fans? They weren't laughing. Does he really think we're that dumb? Who actually buys that? A 45-year-old looks like that without something extra. The very audience he once inspired started turning against him. Fights broke out across forums. Comment sections erupted into chaos. While a few devoted followers held the line, most were waking up, and they weren't pleased. Then came the explosion. November 28th, 2022. A YouTuber named Derek released a video that shook the fitness community. The Liver King lie. Leaked emails exposed everything. Brian Johnson wasn't just dabbling in steroids. He was dropping $11,000 a month on them, including weekly doses of 120 milligrams of testosterone. The primal ideal? Fueled by pharmaceuticals. His entire brand, Ancestral Supplements, the Raw Liver Crusade, the all-natural image, collapsed overnight. Fans felt cheated. I believed in this guy, one wrote in anger. I bought his supplements because I trusted him. Now I just feel conned. 3 days later, Johnson posted a video titled Liver King's Confession. Seated in a leather chair like a fallen king, he began, Primals, I'm making this video to apologize because I f***ed up, because I'm ashamed and embarrassed, because I lied. But even in that so-called apology, he deflected blame. He claimed the steroids didn't really matter, that since he wasn't a competitive athlete, who exactly did I deceive? He even tried to spin it as a mental health awareness effort, a social experiment. People were outraged. It wasn't just the lie. It was the manipulation, the betrayal, the excuses. I ate raw liver every day thinking it was the secret, one follower wrote. Turns out it was just drugs and syringes. In one documentary clip, Johnson asked, what did I do wrong? That one line, soaked in denial, pushed many fans over the edge. But the story didn't stop there. It kept spiraling. By June 2025, Brian Johnson had fully unraveled, still chasing the one thing that had always escaped him, Joe Rogan's validation. Despite months of trying, podcast appearances, viral clips, even showing up at UFC events hoping to get noticed, Rogan remained unmoved. Eventually, he publicly labeled him unhinged. That one word, it hit like a punch, and according to those close to him, it may have cut into old wounds, especially ones tied to growing up without a father. The man who had once tried to crown himself the ultimate alpha was still desperately chasing approval from another. Experts began likening him to figures like Britney Spears or Michael Jackson, not born unstable, but slowly undone by fame's crushing weight, the hunger to be